Attention all singles. Are you tired of swiping left on dating apps only to find disappointment? It's time to elevate your dating game to a whole new level. At millionairematch.com, we understand that finding the perfect match is more than just a swipe. That's why every member is meticulously verified to ensure authenticity. No more catfish, no more fake profiles, just genuine connections with successful, affluent singles. Sign up now at millionairematch.com and let the romance begin.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me.
Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
Here we go with the weekend review. It is Sunday, May 12th, 2024. Time to talk this week in WWE as we are closing in quickly already on another PLE King and Queen of the Ring that will take place in Saudi Arabia in just a couple of weeks. And there is a lot to discuss this week. New challenges, new matchups scheduled for the PLE. First round tournament matches continue, and it feels like we've been in the first round for like 5 weeks. I don't know why these first round matches just seem to be going on forever and ever and ever. It's just, I'm not used to this length of a tournament. It's not something I'm complaining about, just really more of an observation of how I feel about how long these matches have felt like they've gone on. It feels like we should already be in the semifinals, and we're not even out of the first round yet, but we're getting some good wrestling. We're getting some in-ring debuts, shall I say, from NXT. We're getting a lot of new talent getting an opportunity here. And, you know, there is something that, before I get to some shout outs from Patreon, I promise I'll get there. We have a list, and here's just an incredible list of those injuries already suffered by talent in WWE. You want the list? Shotzi, Cruz del Toro, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio, Jimmy Uso, Seth Rollins, Zelina Vega, and Asuka. That's incredible. Those are some big names. And yet the product still has never been hotter, which really is a testament to the depth of the product right now. You know, you see a list like that and the name power and star power that's on that, and you'd think, oh man, the product must be kind of boring. No. Right? I mean, would the product be better with these talent? Yeah. But it's as hot as it's ever been still without it, without these individuals. It's incredible. But those are some big names that, you know, you see on there and you're like, oh man. And that doesn't even count Brock Lesnar, who's not injured. Doesn't even count Roman Reigns, who's not injured. Doesn't even count The Rock, who's not injured. Those three men are slated to come back. So those are just those individuals who are injured, much less the ones that just bowed out after WrestleMania season. And of course, you throw in a rogue John Cena appearance here and there, and you know that even makes it more stark in contrast from the WrestleMania roster to now. But let's give some shout outs to those on Patreon. John L., thank you. Ravion Howard, thank you for joining us. David Irwin, I think I might have already given you a shout out, but you're getting your second one, I guess. David Irwin, thank you for joining us. I know that some of you are free on the free side of things, but I think that you'll stick around with everything you'll see we have to offer you and the value in which you're going to get it. Even if you're at the dollar level, right? The NXT level, you get everything we do ad free, everything except for the weekend, the exclusive show of After Dark, which is done by Anthony DeMarco. And I'll actually be posting that shortly as well. A little bit late this week, but it's coming. Okay. The After Dark show is coming. And it's coming very soon for those of you who are on the SmackDown tier and above. On the NXT Plus and above, you get it, but you get it every other week. All right? So if you want it every week, SmackDown tier is the way to go. And as always, you guys get shout-outs. You get access to the Discord server. You get access to everything. And you can even come on the show if you go up high enough in the tiers. So that's where you go for ad-free, or on Apple for ad-free as well. All right. Well, let's continue here as the weekend review continues, and a lot to talk about as King and Queen of the Ring closes in on us. And the first thing that pops in my mind actually is not Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. We'll get to that in a few moments. It's Jade Cargill. I seem to be somehow alone in the feeling of and the reaction to her match at Backlash. Many thought it was clunky, and there were some moments that weren't the smoothest. I actually praised the match. I said it was one of the better matches of the night, and I seem to be pretty alone in that observation, that assessment, and that's fine. I don't need to be with everyone's opinions, and neither do you need to be with mine. But I think maybe, and I'm not revising my opinion on it, more just giving justification for why I felt that way, is because the bar for me had been set so low for Jade Cargill, who had done really nothing up till that point other than do some flexing, come out in some red latex, right? Other than that, it had been pretty quiet in the in-ring department with Jade Cargill. Okay, she had a Rumble debut, but her matches up to that point have been very brief. And you knew that they were trying to hide her weaknesses, which is length of match. And you know, she's so strong that I think sometimes it works against her. But then I get the match at Backlash, and I was pleasantly surprised. Her and Bianca work very well together. I think that she draws your attention to the screen, whether it's a TV screen, whether it's your iPhone screen, your Android screen, your iPad screen, whatever screen. She draws your attention to it, and not in a sexual way. For most of us, I don't think. I think it draws your attention to, damn, I mean, her physique, yes, but in an impressive professional wrestler kind of way. At least I can speak for myself on that front. She just looks like, even if you don't know who the hell she is, even if you never saw her in your life, you look at her and you go, oh yeah, that's a big star. Even, you know, if you had to pick her out of a lineup and just guess who the big star is, you would look at her and say, yep, for sure. She's obviously, yes, an attractive woman. Her entrance music is, I think, very well done. The storm is coming fine. You know, so far, I think that's not too hokey. It seems to work. Her entrance, again, is visually impressive. The light shining down on her with the snow falling and the implication that she's the storm and all that's fine. And I think she does have an impressive entrance. And this week, she did have another match, a singles matchup. And this might be her longest singles matchup since she has debuted on the WWE roster from AEW. And it was against Piper Niven. And I think that she did a very nice job. Piper Niven did her role very well. Yes, she isn't the smoothest, okay? If you're looking for buttery smooth and you're looking for just flawless, you're not going to find it here. You know, not yet. I mean, Jade Cargill shouldn't actually, to me, look and wrestle like everyone else. See, that's one of the downfalls of being such a successful organization, is that everyone has to go through the same training with the same coaches and the same in-ring talent and the same production tips and the way that you present yourself on television and the way that you wrestle in the ring and the way that the quote WWE style is. The downside of that is everyone kind of comes out feeling and looking the same, with the same moves and the same way and the same formula of matches. It's, again, not every match. I'm not saying every match is identical, but the pacing of the match, you know when the ending of the match is about to happen. You kind of know the match ebb and flow, and the same moves are sold generally the same way because they've all been trained by the same staff. So it makes sense that everyone should look and feel to a certain degree the same. And a lot of that has to do with safety. A lot of that has to do with their actual beliefs on what professional wrestling should be and look like. But with Jade, I think that she can't be doing a lot. She can't be doing 95 to 100% of what her more athletic, younger, or rather, maybe not younger is the word, smaller coworkers, to be frank, are doing, right? That the other talent that are a lot smaller than her can do. Now, if she can do those things safely, like, okay, maybe, but it's almost like she's a giant in a woman's world where you have sometimes the giants who want to do those things, like Ivar, for example. Now, she's obviously not, it's not the same dynamic, I understand, but the analogy, I think, is still the same, where Ivar does things that he has no business doing and shouldn't do because he's a bigger guy. I don't want to see him doing moonsaults, really, when you have other people that do them and do them well, and it makes you stand out when you don't do those things. Now, again, I've only seen a small sample size of Jade's in-ring work, and so far, it's improving, and it just goes to show why they didn't debut her before WrestleMania to put her in a singles match against, say, Bianca Belair or anyone else, for that matter, of any like the Four Horsewomen, right? Makes sense. Everybody sees it now. She's just not ready for that yet, but I think she's slowly improving and she's getting those minutes. She's racking up those minutes in her resume under her belt in front of a live crowd, and working with Piper Niven or working with Natalya, working with some veterans, working with Bianca Belair as a team, I think will really help her. Now you'll notice in the King of the Ring, or rather Queen of the Ring tournament, that those two women are on the same side of the bracket. If both of them win their next match, they will both have to face one another in the semifinals. That ain't going to happen. I think what's going to happen is Jade will advance, and then you'll have probably who is Bianca facing? Oh, Tiffy time, right? Tiffany Stratton. I think Tiffany Stratton will find a way to beat Bianca, and it'll be Jade versus Tiffany Stratton for that match. So you're not going to get, I'm sure we've all looked ahead. Jade and Bianca is not going to happen, and it's not anywhere near ready for, the platform's not ready, the time of year is not ready, Jade actually isn't ready. If Jade versus Bianca took place right now, to be frank, as much as I've supported Jade or at least I've gotten recent support for her, or she's starting to earn some respect from my end, and I think the fans too, she would be completely exposed if Jade versus Bianca happened, say, at the next PLE. It would be a disaster, an unmitigated disaster. You talk about pouring cold water on a matchup, it would be a disaster. So they're not ready for that. So anybody that thinks that matchup's going to happen right now, no. Will it happen? Oh, yeah. Maybe as soon as Vegas at WrestleMania 41. So we'll have to see. But I know I'm going on a long tirade here about Jade, but she's the first thing that came to my mind, and I'm seeing improvement every week. You know, I'm seeing, yes, some botches. I'm seeing some things that are done a little stiff, a little sloppily, timing's off. Yeah. But as fans, I think that we have to come to expect that, especially where she came from in AEW, where she wasn't exactly known for her in-ring ability and was really just known for her look. And you know, right now in WWE, she's transitioning from just look to I can go in the ring. So I think we just need to have a little patience. This reign of tag team championships with Bianca is probably going to be many, many months long. And when they're ready to split, then you'll see things change in a big way for Bianca and Jade, and maybe they'll go at it at that point. But okay, let's continue. Now we get Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. Honestly, I like it. I really enjoy, Logan Paul, for as few matches as he's had, you would think that myself, who's critical of new talent coming up and, jumping the line and all that. No. Logan Paul maybe not deserves, feels like he belongs is more of the, I think, a better way to phrase it, because it's to say he deserves it would really not do, the talent that have been there for years any due respect that they're owed, right? Because there have been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of matches under other talents' belts that have not been in the position of Logan Paul. And Logan Paul comes in, has had about a dozen televised matches, including one against Roman Reigns. He's now the United States champion. He's been U.S. champion now for closing in on 200 days. And now we're going to put him in another title match with the guy that just beat Roman Reigns. So I think that when you look at this, Logan Paul he may be, now again, jumping the gun a little bit, but there's a possibility he could be one of the faces of the company in another year or two. And yes, he's really good as a heel. Could he eventually play babyface? Yeah, look at his in-ring ability. Fans respect that. They know when a guy or gal can or can't go. Logan Paul can go. And beyond that very obvious observation that has been brought up many, many times that, yeah, he can go. He's the best rookie year, fastest, he's been compared to Kurt Angle. He's also starting to come around on the mic in a way that makes him feel like he could outduel a lot of guys on the mic. He's got confidence. He's got poise. He's got cadence. He's got content. And he really seems to be, he held his own against Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody's going to get the final word, all that, because he's the champion and Cody's really good on the mic himself. And these two going at it in Saudi Arabia at Queen and King of the Ring in a couple of weeks is going to be a lot of fun, and it could be match of the night easily. If not, it's the front runner for it. So I'm really looking forward to the Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. Is there any chance Logan Paul beats Cody Rhodes? I mean, it's, I would say very small, but it's a larger chance than Cody Rhodes losing to AJ Styles at Backlash. Or rather AJ beating Cody, if that was anyone's pick. I don't think it was, but there's at least a slightly higher chance. And the reason is twofold. One, you're getting further away from Cody winning, which just by pure fact of life, the further you get from Cody's victory, the closer you get to him losing it, just because that's going to happen. But also number two, he's a hell of a lot younger than AJ Styles is. He's the future of the company if he wants to immerse himself into the company full time. And when you look at it that way, okay, he is younger. Would they, and my God, do they dare pull the trigger? My answer is still no, a very confident no. But it's at least in the universe of a discussion for a possibility. I'd give it like a 1.5% to 2% chance that he does beat Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship. But again, I'm looking till really Survivor Series and WrestleMania before Cody Rhodes has any real chance of dropping the belt. In fact, from all the reports that we're hearing, and many of you have probably heard the same and echoed the same things, apparently the plan is to have Rock versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania for the championship versus championship. And you may be saying, what do you mean championship versus championship? Well, The Rock has the People's Championship that he's been holding from Muhammad Ali's wife that he's carrying around. And they had a moment before he left about holding each other's belts and how that feels right and all that kind of thing. So they could pull the trigger on that at WrestleMania. And if that's the case, then there's no chance that Cody Rhodes is losing it until WrestleMania 41. And I have been warning you, all of you that are in the same camp as I am of not being a fan of Cody Rhodes' babyface character and him as champion, I kind of warned you that we've got a long run ahead of us. And I think we do. Again, we're looking at another 11 months before we can even think about it in Vegas on April 20th or April 21st. April 21st, because he'll definitely main event night too, Sunday night. So that's the case. I mean, and also there's the talk of having the PLEs move back generally to just Sundays. That talk's been running around lately, and yeah, there's good and bad to it. The good is you get a breather from Friday to Sunday from SmackDown. But also you realize that, oh crap, most of us have work Monday morning, and now we have a lot of us stay up late, and you got that buffer day with Saturday because most of us have a Sunday off or can sleep in on Sundays. And there's that, we kind of got used to Saturday PLEs. And so we'll see if TKO actually decides to go with Sunday PLEs once again. Now, the question that I've had some people ask is, well, why isn't Cody going to challenge for the United States title? Right? Like why does Logan Paul have all the benefit and none of the risk? And it really makes perfect sense here. Because if you have title versus title, that means that somebody's going to become a double champion. They don't want Cody Rhodes to become U.S. champion. I think that poured cold water on an otherwise really good run by Logan Paul. But also, you don't want to end the streak of Cody, who just got started. With all that build, all that 2-year the 2-year journey, you're just going to end it in a month and a half? No, of course not. So that's why they're not doing title versus title, because they have no good finish for it. There's no good out. They can't do a DQ, of course. I mean, that would be even more horrific. So to me, it's just, and to WWE, it just makes perfect sense that you're not going to have a title versus title, and it's going to be only Cody's title on the line. Now, I have thought about this. Now I'm backtracking here a little bit, switching gears to SmackDown, to the Bloodline, with Solo Sikoa, who's doing just such a fun job. Fun job. You forgot about all the losses he's had, right? I mean, Solo Sikoa has been on a hell of a losing streak. But with Solo forming his own bloodline, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, right? I think he went from Tangaloa to Tongaloa to keep things a little bit easier to understand. There's Tama, Tanga, Tonga, Togo. I mean, right? Too many toes and tas. So I guess they've landed on Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. So I'm already getting mixed up, and they're trying to keep it concise. But you have then Solo, and I think there's going to be one other guy added, which is Jacob Fatu. And when that happens, I think his new bloodline will be complete. And he told Paul Heyman this week that he has spoken with the tribal chief and that he wants him to be the interim leader, essentially, until he returns. And he's talking about also how he lost our championship, if you notice that. Obviously, he's lying to Paul Heyman. No doubt about it. He's telling Paul Heyman what he thinks he needs to hear to support this new bloodline group. And the We Want Roman chants continue. I don't think the fans have ever wanted Roman Reigns back more in his entire career than right now. You can already feel the tension. You can feel the anticipation for Roman's return already. And they haven't done anything. And he's going to be a massive babyface upon his return. I mean, I keep saying that. But you hear the chants. You heard the chants 3 weeks ago. Like immediately after he lost his belt, you were like already like cheering for him. And yet he was the enemy number one for holding the championship hostage for 4 years. So like, it's amazing how quickly things can turn without even doing a thing. So this is going to be a fun build. Now, I do have a little bit of an idea that leads to Survivor Series War Games that, of course, will lead into Rumble and Mania. But when it comes to Survivor Series, yes, I'm skipping over SummerSlam. I understand there's apparently and I don't know how true this is, things change, a triple threat between Roman, Rock, and Cody for the Undisputed Championship. We'll see about that. To me, I'd get The Rock and Cody Rhodes out of the way at SummerSlam so you can have Rock Roman at WrestleMania, which, for the love of God, can we just do? I mean, if after all this, imagine this all happens, we get all these versions of the storyline, things are all, brilliant stories have been told, and yet we still don't get Rock Roman. Can you imagine? It's possible because they have a lot of good options here, but you just got to do it. Now, my idea. I think with Solo Sikoa forming his own group of assassins under the Bloodline name, you're going to have those 4 guys, right? On the babyface side, Roman's going to return, and I think he makes a miraculous return as early as Money in the Bank, more likely SummerSlam. And he's going to have a confrontation with Solo Sikoa. Right? Now, This will eventually break down. They'll probably beat down Roman. The other members of the Bloodline, the original, the OG Bloodline, Jimmy and Jay will have a reconciliation because they've already had their dispute, right? They've already fought, so God knows we don't need to see another match with those two again. So they'll reconcile, eventually slowly come back. They'll be hesitant to reform. They'll tell the story about bringing them all back together, and eventually he'll have those three. But you're thinking, wait a minute, how can you have 4 of those guys versus really, well, actually 5, if you count The Rock, of Solo Sikoa, who I think Rock has been the one to give the order, not Roman. So you have Rock, Solo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu. You have 5 of those guys inside of Survivor Series in the War Games match. So in the War Games match, you have those 5 guys. And again, on the other side, you have Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso. Now, who the hell could the other 2 be? Who could those other 2 be? Right? Because you got to have 5-on-5. What if they brought Sami Zayn back into the fold? Right? Sami Zayn, I understand he's Intercontinental Champion. He's having a little fun run, but November's a ways away. And by that time, Sami could probably drop the belt and it'll be fine. Yeah, it'd be good. So Sami Zayn. But who in the hell could be the 5th member? Right? You got no one else. Like, okay, all the OG members of the Bloodline have been accounted for, including Sami, who I guess is part of the OG in a way. So you have 4 now on 5. I think the 5th member could be Cody Rhodes. Aligning with his arch nemesis to combat The Rock, which Rock and Cody obviously have a bunch of issues, and that could lead to another match with those two leading into WrestleMania season. So there you go. That's my big thought. I actually had this in the shower. Don't you do a lot of thinking in the shower? It's so true. Like, you think of the most, just like sometimes these ideas come to you. I don't know what it is. Your brain just gets triggered when you're like, hey, I'm going to wash myself, but also I'm going to come up with some really good stuff now. I don't know what it is. So there you go. To repeat, I think the War Games match this year is going to be wild. You're going to have The Rock, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, and Jimmy and Jey Uso. 5-on-5. You heard it here first. I really want to just somehow save this podcast and play it back in it's May. So like 5 months. So in October, mid-October, or even 6 months. I mean, then you're mid-November and you've really solidified whether or not this is possible. But 6 months ahead, you heard it here first. My prediction for a massive War Games match that would make a lot of sense. I mean, I'm not asking for crazy returns or anything else Mr. Do Right by Everybody and Mr. Moral Compass is going to join Roman Reigns to face The Rock, who he has a big problem with. And Sami Zayn rejoining the Bloodline, even for a night, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And I don't want to hear, well, what about the brand split? This person's on this brand. They don't give a damn. They don't care. They have never showed that they care about the brand split. I don't care that they've said, oh, well, this person's on this brand. We'll do it differently this time. Nonsense. They never respect the rules of the brand split, especially the longer it goes. So I'm not even worried about who's on what show, because they don't care. And I've shown you that for year after year. So there's my massive matchup for War Games in 6 months. But we're not here to talk about 6 months, at least not the whole time. It's not really Weekend Review when you're talking about 6 months from now. So I should be sued for false advertising of the name of this show. But okay, so let's continue. We got, again, Naomi versus Nia Jax in a Queen of the Ring quarterfinal, with Nia Jax beating Naomi in 8 minutes and 20 seconds to advance. Now she's going to face Jade Cargill in the next round. Again, barring any injury. I mean, my God, How many injuries, as I just listed off, have we had? How many replacements in this tournament have we had? This may be the most single, the number of injuries in this tournament may be higher than any tournament replacements that I've seen in my lifetime in pro wrestling. But Naomi and Nia here did a nice job here. There were a lot of weird, and I think, is it the barcode leading to Uncle Howdy or leading to Bo Dallas or whatever? I don't see barcodes, and maybe it's because I'm on the Hulu version, but I saw a lot of technical glitches, and I'm thinking that it still is the same thing. It's still leading to, oh, we're dropping hints. Here comes Bo Dallas and his wacky new Wyatt Six or whatever group they're going to do. Maybe that could be it, but also I saw just a lot of like technical glitches that I don't know what to make of. Maybe they were legit. Maybe they were just actually by design. I'm not sure. All right. Also, another big return on SmackDown that I haven't mentioned at all. Carmelo Hayes versus Baron Corbin, who I think is playing a babyface. He seemed to be just a little more personable, a little less obnoxious in a backstage interview, saying that, he wasn't sure, or he's had a rough few years, and that, he doesn't know if he's a constable, if he's a lone wolf, if he's happy, if he's sad. Again, just really kind of glossing over his gimmicks, and some of them not good over the last several years. But Baron Corbin, I think there's untapped potential there, and he and Carmelo Hayes had a match that lasted about 6 minutes with Carmelo Hayes beating Corbin, so not exactly the re-debut to the main roster that you want, but a decent match nonetheless. After Corbin went for end of days, Hayes avoided it and rolled him into an inside cradle and stole the victory. So that's the out, is that he didn't hit him with a clean finish. With the clean victory, it was, he hit an inside cradle. But the weird thing is, with an inside cradle, it is viewed just reflexively by fans as stealing the victory. But it's a legal wrestling maneuver. So it's not really stealing a victory when it's a legal maneuver that anyone can use, including in front of the referee. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to ruin it for you guys, but I don't know how it's stealing something when it's a legal move to use to win the match. But nonetheless, Carmelo gets the victory. We'll have to see where Corbin's going to go from here. It was actually kind of nice to see him for once in a long while on SmackDown. Maybe they have something a little bit deeper in store for him. Right now, he's a little bit bland, trying to find who he is. His identity is a little bit up in the air. He just does seem to be playing a babyface, though, which is interesting for him. Wrestling with his shirt off. I know a lot of you are, and it's really unfair for Corbin, who does get a bad rap for his belly button. If you haven't heard of that fiasco, just Google it. But I don't really care what he wears. I really don't. I don't care if he wears a tank top or he's shirtless or wears a vest. I don't care. But I think that Corbin right now needs to find himself quickly, because the fans still view him as just, I think, as we don't know what you are yet, and I don't think Corbin knows yet, but it's at least a nice face, dare I say, a fresher face on SmackDown that you could make heel or even try a babyface run with. All right, we got some hype for WrestleMania 41. Really good amount of hype for WrestleMania 41 that's going to be obviously in Las Vegas. Maybe the latest WrestleMania has ever been put out there, by the way, on April 20th and 21st. Orton was backstage and he was interviewed about AJ Styles and gave him credit for his talent, but says it always feels phenomenal when he hits an RKO out of nowhere. And then addressed Tama Tonga and said for what he did to Kevin Owens, he actually called Kevin Owens his friend. That's interesting. He would give him another RKO and make sure he saw it coming. So Orton very fired up here. Really the most fired up I've seen him in a while. Threatening Tama Tonga, yet he didn't do anything during his match. But hey, still, you have Randy Orton floating out there, ready for an RKO to strike. And he called, again, Kevin Owens' friend. That I'd be very leery of, setting us up for a turn. for the millionth time in Orton's career, but also Owens, who has been known to turn a time or two on his quote unquote friends. So anytime someone says that they're your friend, I would be very leery of a setup here. So I'm sniffing something out. So we'll see what happens. But again, we then get Jade Cargill and Piper Niven, which I already went over. Bianca Belair versus Candice LeRae in a Queen of the Ring. Oh, this was a quarterfinal. Okay. And let's see here. We got, as expected, a Bianca Belair victory in just under 3 minutes. And we then have, let's see, Tama Tonga versus Angelo Dawkins. This match also was super fast in under 2.5 minutes, with Tama Tonga beating Angelo Dawkins. Man, the Street Profits are in, their characters are screaming for a change. They are on the character. If the character of the individuals could get on their knees, it would be begging for a shift, a change. I'm not saying, turn them heel as automatic. No, I mean, they could, and they kind of did in a weird way with Lashley, and then Lashley gets injured, and like everyone seemingly get injured, but they weren't sure what their identity was with them either. Yeah, with Bobby Lashley, they call themselves the Pride. What did the Pride mean? I don't know. Who knows? No one knows. They were healed, and their face, and their baby. Like, I mean, it's just, there was no consistent momentum with that group, even though I thought initially it was very intriguing, and it kind of went nowhere. But really it comes down to, this is the problem. The problem is Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. They need to figure out something. They are fading and fading fast from a fan support perspective. The fans look at them and go, yeah, they're cool. I mean, yeah, they were cool from like 5 years ago, and they're still doing the same thing. And, okay, but they're still with Lashley. Are they heel? We don't know. That's not to disparage the talent of either man, but it's just time to do something different. If you want to split them and turn one heel, fine. If you want to keep them together, but change the music and change the look and maybe do run-ins from vignettes, fine. What you can't do is just this. You can't keep them together. It's just, no one even if they do and the fans don't turn on them fully, the fans don't believe they can beat anyone or win anything anymore. They just, even if they did a shocking victory, no one really wants to see it though. I don't know anyone that's just dying for the Street Profits to win a tag team championship. They need a change. They need something, either together or separate, or as baby faces or as heels. The possibilities are wide and vast. Choose one. Anyone but remaining in the same spot that you are. You cannot run in place with these two. There. I wanted to get that out. Okay. Next week, we're going to get a contract signing with Cody and Logan Paul. And then we get to the main event, Randy Orton and AJ Styles in the King of the Ring quarterfinal. And it's a really fun match. 17 minutes here. Just two pros doing what they do best. And that is just kicking each other's asses and looking like they're 25 years old. It ends with Styles trying to go for a Styles clash. Orton to hit the RKO with one RKO and gets the victory. And one of the few finishes that's still protected, by the way, is the RKO. And after the match, Orton celebrated. Again, a fun match here. I think that, there's not going to be any bad blood between Orton and AJ. It's just a match, and then they move on. Because Orton is clearly targeting the Bloodline and Tama Tonga specifically. And when eventually Owens comes back, he will do the same. So that leaves the question of, where the hell does AJ Styles go? Who does he work with? That's the question. But also, you could keep AJ Styles as a heel, but he's been kind of a nice heel in a way. He hasn't been a nasty heel trying to cheat to win. He's been a legit, just kind of upstanding heel that you could turn him babyface. So I'm not sure where they go with AJ, but they know they have a hell of a hand there that they could do and plug and play almost anywhere and have a great match with. I heard that and I saw that was that Dave Meltzer gave AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes a 5-star rating at Backlash. Now, a couple things on that. Number one, I don't think it was a 5-star match. Number two, it's also just one guy's opinion, like one dude. Again, there's a very polarizing opinions on Dave Meltzer. I know that. He does have there is some not good track record that he clearly has gotten into media, wrestling media, at the time that it was really starting to come into its own, right? Like, he clearly has a name for himself. He has recognition even among the wrestlers in the industry. People know who and what he is. Has he had a bad track record at times? Yes. Does he seem a little pompous at times? Yes. Does he get it right a lot of times? Yes. Does he have insiders inside of the company feeding him information? Yes. But good for him. I would take that information too. That's what you do. You get the information, you get it, and you take it and you deliver it. But so many people are like, agreeing with the 5 stars or not agreeing. And I mean, again, it's one fan's opinion that we're all supposed to just look at and go, oh, well, I give it 3. I must be wrong. It's the most subjective thing of all time. Did you like the match? Didn't you? How do you rate it? Why did you rate it the way you did? I mean, you talk about so many variables, but people get caught up in star ratings. I'm not one to really do that. Everyone can enjoy the matches as they want to, and there's a lot of crappy matches that I like, and a lot of matches that I like that people didn't. So, hey, just wanted to point that out. Now, on Raw this past week, there were, let's see, I'll get there in a minute here. I got to click through my computing machine here. Now, it was a fairly big episode of Raw. We got Sheamus and Gunther, Ricochet and Dragunov, who did an excellent job with Ricochet, I guess, hinting at turning heel. We got Lyra versus Asuka, Io versus Natalya, and we got a lot more Queen and King of the Ring matches. That seems to be, again, it seems to be going on for eternity with these brackets. So I think it was a solid Raw, one that saw Jey Uso and Finn Balor, with Jey Uso winning. We got some Drew McIntyre fun with CM Punk, and CM Punk calling Drew McIntyre back, who didn't come back after he drove away from the arena. Io Sky, who ends up facing Natalya in a Queen in the Ring. Dragunov, as I said, versus Ricochet. And Zoe Stark versus Ivy Nile. We got, again, Chad Gable and Bronson Reed. And we got some Liv Morgan interaction backstage. And I think she's coming into her own big time, by the way. Liv Morgan has just revived herself in a way that I didn't think was possible. I was very critical of the Revenge Tour. That was a joke at the beginning. And now it has really just, I think, solidified her. She solidified herself as a main event act on Raw, at least for the time being. We got Valkyria versus Dakota Kai. We got Gunther versus Sheamus. Boy, brutal match. These two, kind of know what style of match you're getting with them. My God. So, well, that'll do it for me in the week of review. I think I have gone through not everything in a down to a fine powder, as they say, but at least on a high level covered the bigger things that have happened this past week. And, I do apologize for the After Dark. It's a little bit late, but as I said, it's coming. Okay. The After Dark, for those of you who are on those SmackDown tier and above on Patreon, will get it. And on Apple Podcasts. By the way, if you're subscribed to Apple Podcasts, you do get every single week the After Dark show. So that's an advantage if you want to just hit the Apple subscription and get a week trial for free. But that'll do it for me tonight, guys. Thanks so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Attention all singles. Are you tired of swiping left on dating apps only to find disappointment? It's time to elevate your dating game to a whole new level. At millionairematch.com, we understand that finding the perfect match is more than just a swipe. That's why every member is meticulously verified to ensure authenticity. No more catfish, no more fake profiles, just genuine connections with successful, affluent singles. Sign up now at millionairematch.com and let the romance begin.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.